Good evening, everyone. My name is Teresa Jacob, and I'm a third year studying at VIT Weller. So today I'll be taking a session on web scraping with Scrapy. These are the very fundamentals for you guys to get interested, to get more interested in this topic. So you could do scraping with many methods like this Blast, Selenium. You could also use APIs. I haven't really used Scrapy in a very long time, so I'll be revising while I'm teaching you guys, so forgive me if I do make any mistakes. If I make any mistakes, I'll be resolving them along with you guys. So yeah, let's just get into the topic. What is web scraping? It's pretty evident from the title. It is scraping specific data from a website, or web scraping is the process of extracting data from a specific web page. So that's web scraping. To give you guys an example, so we have the site. Let me show you the guys site. Yeah. Suppose your manager wants you guys to get, the products of everything in the site, the title, the URL, the discounted price or original price, which is, crossed out here. And he wants you to store all the data in this CSV file. So some of you guys might be thinking, why can't we just do it manually? So this page only contains 56 products, which is pretty, you guys can do it manually if you have that time. But see, this has 69 pages, and to get all the products of all these 69 pages, it is very time consuming. That is where web scraping comes in handy. So we're going to be, at the end of the session, I'll be teaching you guys how to do this. So it's pretty simple. For that, let's start from the very, very beginning, right? So let me present this. Right. So why are we doing this? Like I showed you, if you have a particular site and your manager wants you to get data from that website, you would be using Web Scrapy. Sometimes you'll be taking data from a website, and you would use that to visualize it by using, dashboards like Streamlit or something. And by using dashboards, you could visualize how this data will go in the future, or how it has impacted your organization so far. So that's one main way of using web scraping. Another, those who have done AI ML will know this, that it is used for extracting data to train ML models. So there are many ways you could use web scraping, and yeah, so these are just some of the very general ideas. So how can it be done? Like I said, it can be done manually, but it's very time consuming. So that's why we're using scraping. You could also use Blast, Selenium, APIs. I usually use APIs, but if you understand Scrapy, you could understand all the other different ways to scrape websites. So let's start up by setting up Scrapy. For that, we need the Anaconda navigators. So for that, this is going to anaconda.com. Just click on free download and get downloaded. Once you guys have installed that, just search up Anaconda Navigator. Just click on that, and this is how the Anaconda Navigator looks like. Remind me later. Yeah. So this is how it looks like. What we want is to create another environment and not the base brew. For that, we're just going to, click on create. Once you click on create, you'll get this option to, so let's click on create. You get the option to, create the name of the environment. So create virtual workspace. Since I have already created it, I won't be doing it again. So just type that and enter create. So that's finished, right? And we have the new environment, virtual workspace. So we'll be using this environment in this tutorial to, it's going to remind me later. Yeah, so we'll be using this environment in this tutorial. And after that, we need to install Scrapy into our workspace. So while that is loading, yeah, Anaconda is it takes so much time. So while that is loading, let us install Scrapy into our workspace. For that, Let's go to scrapy.org and let's just click on this conda. Once we click on conda, we're just going to copy paste this first line. Just going to click copy, go back to our navigator, click on virtual workspace, and then we're going to open this terminal. Right now we are inside the virtual workspace. We're just going to, copy paste the line we did earlier. And we want a specific version because we'll be working with our version is equal to 1.6 Pylint Auto Pep 8. And we're going to do like that. So these are the packages that we want. It will be installed with your Scrapy and -s. Enter this. I won't be doing it since I already have it. Once that is done, we have install Scrapy. To see your version, just enter Scrapy. So I have it as a different version because I used this in my project and I needed this version. For you guys, it will say 1.6.0, which is what we need. So once that is finished, that's pretty much it. We created the workspace. We have Anaconda. We created the workspace. We install Scrapy in the workspace. Now for the IDE, I use Visual Studio. Some people prefer Sublime. Some people prefer PyCharm. There's so many IDEs, but I'll be using Visual Studio. To show you how Visual Studio, just go to code.visualstudio.com and just download for free. If you want to work along with me, you could use this. If you prefer your own IDs, then go ahead with that. There is no problem with that. So yeah, so we finished basically setting up Scrapy. Once that is done, let us now go into XPath expressions and CSS selectors. So you guys need to understand this in order to go with the projects. So like I showed you the site before, to get a particular tag element, we need to know where this element is within the HTML document. For that, we will be using XPath expressions and CSS selectors. So let's just use the site so I could teach you guys easier. So yeah, CSS selectors we use for Splash, Selenium. XPath we use for Scrapy. I'll be teaching you guys both, because we can also use CSS for Scrapy. I'll show you in a short while why we prefer XPath to CSS. And yeah, so for CSS, if you want, like, a particular tag element, you're just gonna like enter h1. Pretty simple like that. We get the h1 tag CSS selector simplified. If you want all the p elements, we're just gonna enter p. See, we got all the p elements. So what if we just want a specific p element having, like, an ID is equal to outside? For ID, we're just going to use the hashtag sign outside. So now we got the p tag with the ID is equal to outside. And for a specific class, suppose we have this div. Okay, so before we go into that, we see that the ID is equal to outside. Since ID is pretty unique, we do not need to mention this p. We'll be getting the same output. And for class, we'll be using the dot sign. So suppose for this div, you could do div.intro. Here, see, now we got that div.intro. The div with the class is equal to intro. If you want this span, we're just going to use span. So now we get the span. If you just want to mention the ID, you can also mention, you get the same output. Since ID is pretty unique, you do not need to mention the span. You'll get the same output. So yeah, so that's how you get from a tag, that's how you get from a class, that's how you get from an ID. Now let's look at these A tags. So if you just want an A tag, just enter A. But what if you want, like, a specific A tag? So here we see it starts with HTTPS. So to do that, we're just going to use href. To get starts with, you'll be using this and HTTPS. To get the ending, we're just going to be using the $. If it ends with, suppose, FR, then we should be getting this one. Yep, we have got the href tag that ends with FR. And to get something that it contains or it's in the middle of, suppose Google, we should be getting both, because both contains Google in the middle of the href. element. So that's that. Another thing is, so suppose in this div tag, we want the p element right after that div tag, right? So we're just going to use the class and plus p. Now we get the p element that is directly after this div tag. If you want the span tag, you guys might be thinking like we could do like this, right? No, that won't work. I know it comes, it does work, but we won't generally be using this. Instead, we'll be using this symbol. If we use this symbol, we'll be getting the first span element that is directly after this div tag. So that's the difference between this symbol and the plus symbol. So yeah, that's pretty much it for CSS selectors that I'll be teaching you guys. I believe I've taught everything that needs to be known for this session. Now let's go into XPath. For XPath, I'll be changing the code a bit so I can teach you better. Okay. Yeah. So XPath is similar to CSS. The syntax kind of changes around. So if you want a particular tag, it's going to be doing /h1, and we got the h1 tag. If you want all the div tags, we got all the div tags. If you want like a specific class, we're just going to be doing at class is equal to intro. Now we got the class that we want. So in this div class, what if we want this p element? So if we just do p, we get all the p elements within that class. To get the ID, we have to do at ID is equal to outside. So in CSS selector, since ID was pretty unique, we could just remove this p tag. But for XPath, that is not allowed. We need to mention the p tag. So I know XPath looks longer, but it's pretty simple as you keep on practicing it. So that's if you get a particular tag. For class, you're just doing at class. For ID, you're using at ID. There's no symbol for it. Okay, and now let's look at these A tags like before. So to get the A tags, we're using /A. To get, just this tag, we're going to be using the starts with. Starts with requires two arguments. One is which element. So if it's href, we'll be at href. And if it starts with HTTPS, we'll be using that. If you guys want text, instead of href, you'll be using text, and it should contain, suppose, starts with Google. It should have both coming up because both of the text starts with Google. So if it's href, you use at href. If it's text, you use this, right? Another thing is, instead of starts with, you could also use contains. We won't be using ends with because it's only supporting some particular Scrapy versions. So instead of ends with, we'll be using contains. So suppose we want France. So now we get this particular text, it contains France, so we'll be getting this element. And other than that, let's look at these UL tags. So if we want this UL tag with at ID is equal to items, we get all the text within that tag. So if we want the LI items, so now we got this. If you want, data identifier, you just need to use at data identifier is equal to 7. Now we got that. You could also, while we're doing arrays, we could just use 1. If we want more than, if you want, suppose we want item 1 and item 4, we'll be using position is equal to 1 or position is equal to 4, and we get the first element and the fourth element within this UL tag. So that's how we do that. So now I'll be telling you guys the difference between XPath CSS. XPath has the feature where from a particular tag we can go up and we can go down. So let's first get this element, which is basically a p tag with the ID set to outside, right? Yeah. Now we get this p tag with the ID is equal to outside, which is I'm a paragraph, right? Yep, it's the same thing. So if you want the parent tag, like this full thing, we're just going to be using parent, and this is a div tag. Now we get that parent tag. If suppose we don't know if it's a div, we could use node instead. Now we get that. So if you want the ancestors, we could also use ancestor. We'll get everything, including itself. We get the ancestor. If you want the sibling, so you see this, we want this tag, we could just use preceding sibling. Now we get this p tag. You could also use just precedings, kind of like ancestor, except that everything will come except for its own tag at ID is equal to outside. See, everything has came except for this tag. And along with that, there's also following sibling, child. It's similar to this. I mean, it's similar to what we have done, except that instead of going up, it'll be going down. We'll be getting these elements. So I won't be showing that. But that is why we prefer XPath when using Scrapy. So yeah, I believe I have taught everything that needs to be known for XPath expressions and CSS selectors. Now let's go for the next topic, which is, right, let's now go right to the example, because I believe I've taught everything that needs to be known in order to start. So before we start scraping this website, let's go for a pretty simple one. We want to take this title and all the names that are provided by the site. So there's no extra pages. It's just these 234 country names. There's no extra, there's no pagination involved. So it's a pretty simple site. So we're going to start off with this. For that, let's go back to our Anaconda. So we have install Scrapy over here. We want to create another directory project. Since I already have it, I won't be entering it, but just create a directory and then go into that directory. Once that is done, we're going to start this project. Scrapy start project. Then the name, let's just name it example 1. Okay, example 1, Scrapy start project example 1. So the folder has been made, so let's enter into that folder. CD example 1. Now we need to create the gen spider. The gen spider, or the spider, which I like to call it, is what will crawl the site and take the elements that we need. So Scrapy gen spider, let's call it spider countries. This is copy paste this URL over there. Right, so double quotes. And so Scrapy will automatically just give this backslash over there and then just remove this HTTPS. Yep, we get what we want. Scrapy gen spider countries. Let's click enter. And yeah, we got it. So to open the Visual Studio, just click code space dot, enter that. Yep, and it opened. So under example 1, we'll see many files. We won't be working on this. What we want is under spiders, we'll have the gen spider that we created, which is countries.py. So we see here, see how it automatically rendered this HTTPS. And these are the allowed domains. So we'll be putting the code for scraping under this parse function, right? So for that, let us inspect the site so we can clearly see where the different elements are. So we want this particular element. For that, let's go back into our projects and just open Scrapy shell. Okay. Okay, so this is how Scrapy shell looks like. We'll be using this in order to make sure that the elements that we want are actually the elements that we need. So Scrapy shell, we're going to be fetching the URL that we had put before. Yeah, we're going to fetch that. So we have the status code 200, which shows that we are in. So we want this particular element. For that, we're just going to click on this and click on the tag that we want, which is this. So we see it is, it is under an H1 tag. So we're going to find that. Just going, H1. We see there's only one H1 tag, so we can just use H1. Let's go back to our Scrapy shell. We're going to use, this is the syntax we're going to be using. Response.expat H1 and it's so weird, but yeah, dot get. So this is the syntax we'll be using to get that element. So dot get, so see how we got the tag that we wanted, but we want to remove these H1 tags. We do not want to see that. So for that, we'll be using by dash slash text. Now we got what we want. We got the title by using this. Now we need the names of all these countries. So for that, let's inspect one. So we see that it's under a TD tag. And then there's the href, and it has that text India. So if you go for this, we see it's for China, it's under the same thing. There's a TD and then there's an A, right? So we're going to see how many elements. There should be 234, 233, somewhere around that number. Right, we got everything. There were 234 countries, and that is exactly how many elements we are getting. So let's go back just to make sure that is what we want. We're going to do that. Instead of H1, it was, we see over here is TDA, right? And get is to get, if it's only one element. To get more than one element, we use the get all. Enter that. Yep, that's we have all 234 countries in an array. So that's how we know that the XPath that we took is correct. So now let's go back to our Visual Studio. Let's start coding. So the first thing is the title. The title, it was in a Scrapy shell. It was here. Yeah, this is what we wanted. So just going to copy that. And we're going to paste that. And the country name, we could also go back to our shell. It was the last thing that we had put in our Scrapy shell, which was this. Just going to copy that. And then we're going to paste. And then to return this function, we're just going to use this yield function, yield. And for country, we're just going to use that. So just to give you guys a clear idea, it's like a dictionary. We're creating a dictionary, having the key titles, and this key titles will have everything within this, which is basically the title of that website, and this will contain the country array. So to run this, let's open the terminal. I prefer using this. You could also use this. Yeah. So let's exit out from the shell. Just use Control D. And there you go. Let's enter into example 1. Right? And to crawl it, we'll be using Scrapy crawl. Then the name of the gen spider, which is countries. Scrapy crawl, countries. So let's see if that works. Item scrape count 1. Yes, we only had one element to scrape, which was the title. See, we got the title and we got the country list. That's exactly what we wanted. So that is basically the very general idea on how to scrape from a particular website. Now we'll go with our initial goal, which was to scrape this site, right? So for that, let's, like earlier, let's create a another project, Scrapy start project, example 2. Then we're going to enter into our project by using cd example 2. And then we're going to create this GenSpider, Scrapy GenSpider. Let's call it GenSpider products. I'm just going to copy paste this URL over here. Right? We could remove these HTTPS because they'll automatically rendered. Enter. It has been created. Let's open our IDE. And this is our example 2 directory. We're going to be opening spiders. Let's open the GenSpider that we created. And yeah, we got the site in our start URL, the allowed domains. Right? Now let's go into our Scrapy shell. And let's wait for that to load. Perfect. Now we're going to fetch the URL. Just going to copy paste that. Enter. Yep. Because the status as 200, which shows that we're good to go. And now this is what we're going to scrape. Like I showed earlier, we'll be scraping this title, the URL for this product, the discounted price over here, and the original price which is cut out. So let's just inspect that. There are 56 products in this site, and to get this title, we're just going to inspect it, right? So we see that it's under a tag whose name is, whose class is pbox title, right? So let's see how many elements we'll get if we just do that. Add class is equal to, just going to paste that. So yeah, we get this much elements. So I'm guessing there's 59 products and not 56. But just to be sure, we're just going to copy that. And we're going to paste that into our shell. So we're going to use response.xpath. And then we're going to be using this tag. And since we want the text, let's be using that. Yep, we get the names. We're going to be using .getAll. So we'll remove all the unnecessary data along with that. Yeah, so we get all the names of the products within that site. To get the link, we're just going to change this text to @href, and now we got all the links corresponding to that product. So we got the title, we got the link, now we want these prices. So let's inspect the prices and see where it is in this HTML format. So it's under this div tag, having 2 span tags, right? So we're going to be using that array thing. So we're just going to be copying that. It will be div at class is equal to, it was here and it was under a span tag, the first span tag, right? And yes, we get 59. Let's not start from the beginning. Yeah, see, we're getting the different prices over there. And to get the original price, it was span 2. Okay, the original price, see, we are getting it as span 2. So let's start with span 1. I'm just going to copy that and put it into our shell. Response .xpath. Just going to copy that, paste it with the class, and we want to get all. Since we want just a text, we're just going to mention text over here. What is wrong? Perhaps if response.xpath div add class. Oh, okay. Since it's already double quotes over here, we need to give single quotes over here. Right. Now we'll get all the discounted price. To get the original price, it was span 2, right? And this is the original price. So this is just for the first page. I'll be showing in the code how to get for all the pages and not just this, just the first page. We'll be getting all the pages. For that, we need to inspect this, see where this element is. Yeah, so we want the HRES, so it's under a tag whose class is next page. So just remember that. We'll go back to our products.py. So let's start. So we saw that we were getting an array. We do not want an array. We want it such that I'll show you CSV what we want. So we want, for each product, we want the title, the URL, the discount price, original price. It will come in, it's not coming in an array, it's coming like, side by side. So for that, we'll be using a for product in, and to get the, response.xpath. So we want this, so for product in response.xpath, we want the general. I'll be showing what I mean by that. Let us inspect this. You see over here, to get this full page, yeah. Can we go more inside? If we go inside, then we'll get each one individually. So we want this one. When we click on that, we get this full page consisting of, I believe it's product listing. No, it's, wait, let me look inside for a second. 1 second. This looks like a list. 1 second, sorry about that. I need to look at this. So what we want is for each product, we want each box. So for that, let me inspect. We get that, and we get the div tag, we get the li tag. What if it was like, since it has an li, there should be a ul, right? So let's see where the ul tag is. That's not the URL we want. That's not the URL. Yes, this is the URL that we want. You see, for each UL, there's a product under each of the UL. So this is the main UL. Then for each UL, we'll be getting, yeah, this is what we want. Yeah, so for each UL, we want under each UL, we want this div tag. And under each div, you'll get an li tag. Right? And under that li tag, we'll be getting the name and everything that we needed. So that is why we'll be using this UL for this response.xpath. I'm not able to show you more clearly, but if you guys try it on your own, you will see that if you use that UL tag, you will be able to get this full, this general, very general, this full everything, this full page, and along with that, we'll get each product box. So that is why we'll be using that response.xpath. So UL, the class was product listing UL, and under there was a div, and under that there was an li, if you guys remember. If you guys still didn't understand, I'll just copy that, and I'll be showing you guys in that site. Just gonna find it. Okay. Div at class in product listing. Sorry, it wasn't under a UL tag. There was a class product listing. There was no dash, right, product listing div div li, so we get 56. So see, we get each product now as we go. That is why we have done that. So I'm just going to copy that. It's going to put it over here. Yep, now we'll get each product. So we can do the XPaths that we have found before. We want the title, and then we want the URL. Put it in double quotes because that's the keyword. And then we want the URL of each title. Then we want the discounted price. Then we want the OG price. So these are the different elements that we want. And we had already taken everything that we needed. So this was for the link, and this was for the text. We're just going to copy it out. Since we just want one title, we're just going to use .get. And for the URL, we're going to be taking this, copying that. We're going to be getting that. And then for the discounted price, it will be taking this, copying that, pasting it over here. And for the OG price, this was what we had taken, copying this. And we're going to be pasting into that. Now for each product, we'll be getting the title, the URL, the discount price, and the original price. To go to the next page, we're going to be taking next. Also another thing, instead of response, since we're continuing with this XPath, we'll be using product.xpath. We're going to be copying that. It's going to be copying this. I'm going to be pasting it everywhere in expected response, because we're continuing with the previous XPath. We're continuing with the previous XPath, which is this one. And when we're continuing, we have to use dot. Yeah, so this is how it will work, because you see for product response.xpath, we're taking this the XPath of this product, and we'll be continuing with that. That's where you're using this dot. To get the next page URL, we're just gonna I inspected that before. If you guys remembered, let's show you guys again. We'll be inspecting this URL, and we saw that it was under a class next page. So let's go back. So it was response.xpath with class is equal to, you want the link, right? So we're just going to use that, and then we're going to do .get. So this will be getting the next page of the current page that we're in. And if there is a next page, so if you're in, like, you know, the 69th page, there won't be this URL. So that's when we know we could stop. So if next page, we want to call back this function, for that we're just going to be, you know, yielding scrapy.request, and the URL is equal to this next page that we have got there, and we're going to call back this function, which is self.parse, right? So yeah, if next page, we're going to be yielding, and then we're going to go back to here, and it's going to be calling for each product. So let's see if this works. Let's exit out from the shell. Yes, I'm going to enter this project, which was example 2. And then Scrapy crawl products, and you're going to be getting all the unknown element. Oh wait, it's Scrapy crawl. I'm so sorry. Scrapy crawl products. And let's see if that works. That, what is it saying? It's saying for R. So let's look at it again. R for result. Okay. So let's look at that. So we got the products, scrapy.request, URL is equal to next page, callback is equal to software parse. So we know this is correct. And we also know this is correct. .get. Then for product and expat URL at class by div by li, we're going to be yielding each one. We know this is correct because we use Scrapy shell. Yeah, Scrapy crawl products. It should be that. So this example 2. That's the error showing. I will be finding the error and coming back to you guys. 1 second. Yeah, hi guys, sorry about that. So apparently there was an error over here. If you guys could notice it, this double bracket should be closing over here. Yeah, this is how it should be working. Yep, everything else looks good. So we're just gonna scrape call that. Let's see. Yep, now it's coming exactly how we want it to be. Let's wait for that. We're seeing the status code 200 everywhere. Let's see, the number of items scraped is 495, which shows that there are 495 products in that site. So to convert that to CSV, we're just going to dash O, we're just going to name that products.csv. So let's wait for that to load. While that's loading, to see where this lies in a directory, it will be under C drive, under users, under our name, and there should be a project file. Right. A project, another project there will be our example 2, and we have our CSV there. Let's see if it's finished. Yes, it is finished. We got the 495 products. Let's open that. Yeah, so we got the title, the URL, and the discounted price, right? Exactly what we wanted. So right now, this is just like, the basic .html. If you wanted to connect with this, you will just be using response.url join. We'll just be using that. And we'll be getting along with this and dash with whatever that was in the Excel sheet. So I won't be running this, but this is how you would get, the exact URL which is clickable, and you will enter into that product. So yeah, that was our goal, and now we finished that. I showed you guys. I hope you guys understood. I know I made some mistakes, but like I said, I haven't used Scrape in a long time. I was revising along with you guys while I was teaching you. So yeah, we finished the example, and there is so much more. There's Selenium Splash. To give you a general idea how Selenium Splash works, suppose we have this search engine, DuckDuckGo. So what Splash Selenium will do is that, so you see the search engine, it will just search it up for you. So suppose we want like a hat. It will search up hat, it will click on the search button, and it will scrape everything within the site. So that's Splash Selenium. And this is APIs, which I use more. There will be many of the URLs, and we're just going to be changing some of the terms within the URL. We'll be getting what we want. So yeah, since I hope I sparked some interest in you guys to explore these topics more. If you understood Scrapy, then these topics will be very much, it's pretty much kind of similar, just changing some stuff around. And yeah, so when you guys are scraping websites, make sure that you are following the terms of use and you're not violating the copyright laws. So a lot of people do this. It is not illegal, but make sure you're doing this for legal reasons. So that's the end of our session. So this is me. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my Instagram account. If you guys have any doubts and you want to give me any feedbacks, just message me here. If there were any mistakes that I have said, just text me and I'll make sure to mention them in the description box if there are any mistakes. But since we got the output we wanted, so you know, if it works, then don't touch it, right? Yeah, so we got what we wanted, and I hope that I sparked, like, a general idea on what web scraping is, which was what we wanted. So yeah, with that, I would like to say thank you for listening, and I hope you guys understood something, right? Thank you.